I have this keen ability to sort of help others identify and embrace their superpower, whether it's an engineer that actually is really extroverted and prefers to sell. Well, that person should be selling something incredibly technical to buyers that are technical. But it's a skill that I actually discussed with Richard Branson, one of my favorite people on the planet from your neck of the woods. And last April, I saw him on Necker Island, and I told him that this was my superpower. And he said that, it's interesting because that's his as well.
This is The Entrepreneur Way with Neil Ball. Unlocking the secrets of successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter at Neil D. Ball. Napoleon Hill said the power of the mastermind is the driving force. To discover how you can unlock the potential in your business using the power of a mastermind, go to mastermindunlimited.com. And now, here is your host, Neil Ball.
Hello, it's Neil Ball here. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Entrepreneur Way. The Entrepreneur Way is about the entrepreneur's journey, the vision, the mindset, the commitment, the sacrifice, failures, and successes. I am so excited to bring you our special guest today, Jonathon Perrelli. But before I introduce you to Jonathon, I have a quote for you from Claude Levi-Strauss that goes like this: "The scientific mind does not so much provide the right answers as ask the right questions." The Entrepreneur Way asks the questions so we all get the insight, inspiration and ideas to apply in our businesses. Jonathon, welcome to the show. Are you ready to share your version of the Entrepreneur Way with us?
I am indeed.
Thank you, Jonathon. Jonathon Perrelli is the father to 3 young children, the co-founder of 7 companies, 5 of which were successful exits, 1 a total failure, and his 7th, which is LifeFuels, is going very well. As an early-stage technology investor, Jonathon founded Fortify Ventures in 2011 and has invested in over 40 early-stage and emerging technology companies, and currently serves on the board of directors for 2 of them, IntroHive and Talk Local. He is a founding board member for Virginia Tech's Center of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. He serves as an advisory board member to the Vinetta Project in DC, currently the only male on the Vinetta Board. And previously he served as a delegate to the United Nations Foundation Global Accelerator, and he has also been one of the founding advisors to 1776. Jonathon, can you provide us with some more insight into your business and personal life to allow us to get to know more about what you do and who you are?
Sure. So I'm a 7-time founder. I'm a father of 3 children. I'm glad that there are 7 companies and 3 children and not the reverse. I'm really a serial entrepreneur, an angel investor, a filmmaker. We made a film a couple of years ago about startups and have had an accelerator, now the first one in Washington, D.C. So entrepreneurship is my life, and I enjoy it thoroughly, every aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. And how are you making money from being an entrepreneur right now?
Well, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we spend money before we make money. Mm-hmm. I've been very fortunate to have sold a handful of companies over the years, and really it's been quite some time since I've been making money outside of the sale. Actually, we had a sale last year of SecureForce, a company I started many years ago. But sometimes at the startup phase, I've chosen to pay others by investing in the company and then wait until their company's profitable or until we raise a large amount of money to be paid myself.
Mm-hmm. So do you start the companies, or do you invest in startups? How do you make money from what you do? How do you actually get involved in the companies?
Sure. So the getting involved in companies started in 2010 and in 2011 very actively with Fortify Ventures, where I went from being an angel investor to having a venture fund. And some of those investments look to be incredibly performing quite well. There are a handful of them out of 40 that we think could pay back the fund in its entirety just by themselves. And as an aggregate, I think the fund will do incredibly well. There are some that are in the middle and a few that have actually fallen out. So those entrepreneurs have, given up, and we made small investments in those companies. But currently, I enjoyed being an investor, and I still am involved with some of those companies, but I went back to my roots being an entrepreneur, and 2 years ago started LifeFuels, which is a smart nutrition bottle company. We track input, what people consume, and we're now at 25 employees. We've raised just over $3 million, and we're headed for quite a good year in 2016.
Mm-hmm. Can you just tell us a little bit more about your smart, this nutrition bottle you talked about? Did you call it smart bottle?
Sure, smart nutrition bottle. So effectively, imagine an espresso or a Keurig, but portable. We have 5 1-ounce fuel pods that sit in the top chamber of the bottle, and the bottle stores those, dispenses the what's inside of the fuel pods, which are vitamins, minerals, supplements, flavors, ultimately medicines, and then tracks what is dispensed. Mm-hmm. And that's done through the bottle and also in conjunction with an app. So there are 3 parts to the system. It's a smart nutrition bottle that you carry with you, fuel pods that you purchase that are put into the top of the bottle, and some of them last up to 25 servings. They're coffees, teas, vitamins, etc., flavors, and then the app, which is also the marketplace, and the app tracks what you consume.
Oh, I see. So you have to tell. So how do you actually input what you tell the app out what you've consumed? Do you do that through a phone or something? Is that how you're doing that?
So that's what's magical about it. You don't tell it anything. The bottle tells the app, so it's all automatic.
What if you consume something outside of the bottle? How would it know about that?
So you'll actually add that to the software. For now, we're focused on the fuel pods, but ultimately you'll be able to swipe a granola bar next to the bottle, and it will know what you're consuming. And there are other ways we're tracking input as well. We'd like to be the world leader in tracking what people consume.
Sounds very impressive. So who are you aiming this product at? Who are your main customers?
So we've actually signed on a couple of Olympians because performance athletes are incredibly interested in this space, and effectively some of them have to, by law or the sport that they're involved in, they have to track everything that they consume. CrossFit is a huge phenomenon. I know it's getting big in the UK and in Europe. It's been huge in the States for years. CrossFitters, yogis, athletes of all kinds want to be able to be smarter about what they consume and have it more convenient. The idea for this product came about years ago based on a family member I had that was in need of nutritional support that they couldn't just get from food, and it wasn't convenient for them to go out and seek and find a variety of forms of food. They needed supplements and vitamins. And what I found was I, going to the gym, had a gym bag full of large bins of powders and protein supplements and many other things. I would buy vitamins and I'd forget to take them. Found that problem was pretty common and realized when wearable technology came about, people actually caring about output, how many steps they take, their heart rate, and also competing with others. When they cared about output, that was when we timed this and said, people are going to start caring about input. If they care that much about what they're doing, they should care about what's energizing them to do what they're doing. So we closed the loop on output with input.
It sounds fantastic, actually. I mean, the concept of applying technology to something so fundamental, I never would have dreamt that someone would have done that. So it sounds awesome. So, Jonathon, what do you enjoy most about what you do?
Well, I love creation. So whether it's cooking a meal and doing it from scratch, if it fails, no problem. Take a bite, dump it out, start again. There's a little less stress to creating a meal than there is to starting a company. But what I enjoy is making a difference and seeing people succeed. So, for example, we went to the Consumer Electronics Show as LifeFuels last month, and leading up to the show, we thought, we hope we're recognized. We hope we get the meetings we want. We hope anyone cares. And it ends up just prior to the show, we won a Product Innovation Award from CES. And at the show, we won a few other awards. And in my 20-year career, and my COO, Ethan, felt the same way, we've sold companies over the course of our careers, but the best week we've ever had was that week. So I find that things like that the validation we had and the timing of the market and every possible partner in healthcare or wearable tech or retail or distributorships that wanted to partner with us, that felt great. So I enjoy that part of the process very much.
Mm-hmm. And what is it that drives you?
That's a really good question. I thought about that one a lot. Embracing my superpower is what drives me. And it's interesting, and this was discovered by others that I've known, and I was told this years ago, but ultimately, it's not flight or X-ray vision or anything you would think that we would want to have, but I have this keen ability to sort of help others identify and embrace their superpower, whether it's an engineer that actually is really extroverted and prefers to sell. Well, that person should be selling something incredibly technical to buyers that are technical. But it's a skill that I actually discussed with Richard Branson, one of my favorite people on the planet from your neck of the woods. And last April, I saw him on Necker Island, and I told him that this was my superpower. And he said that, it's interesting because that's his as well. And that made my day. It made my year, I think. But that's one of the things that drives me is helping people find what they're best at and then providing them an opportunity or even in, a position to be able to embrace and exceed and excel at that.
That's absolutely a great thing to want to do. And how do you relax when you're not working in your business?
So spending time with my 3 amazing children and extended family, the kids are mostly relaxing. Sometimes children can't be, but when they're not, I go in the hot tub, I exercise, I read. I love yoga and I love cooking, which I already mentioned. Cooking really provides a happy place for me. It's one that, again, allows for creation and allows to share with others. So I could see myself doing a lot of cooking in my future. I have less time for it now than I'd like, but that's because I'm running a growing company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think you might have answered this question partially here, but do you have any entrepreneurial role models?
I do. Most people I know talk about Zuckerberg from Facebook or Steve Jobs or, Buffett. Elon Musk is one that comes to mind. A lot of people say that. I actually find that Richard Branson, who I mentioned, Oprah Winfrey, who I just have so much respect for, and I don't know if you hear that a lot from men, but if you actually look into her background and how she got to where she is, it's pretty fascinating. Ben Horowitz from Andreessen Horowitz, I read everything he writes. And then Tim Cook for a lot of different reasons. If you look at the shoes that he filled following Steve Jobs, it's pretty incredible the job that he's done at Apple, right? I mean, who can argue with that? So those are some of my role models.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that when Steve Jobs had gone, it would sort of all fall away, didn't they? And it seems to have just gone from strength to strength. So he's done very well.
Agreed.
Jonathon, can we talk about the time before you were an entrepreneur? And can you talk about some of the difficulties that you had to overcome when you started your business?
Sure. So I think I've always been an entrepreneur, so it's tough to remember a time before that. But difficulties in starting this business, we did something pretty crazy, Neil. We actually required people to sign a non-disclosure agreement because we existed in stealth mode for over a year. And I've always told founders that it's a silly thing to be in stealth mode. You want to get the word out about what you're doing. But we believed at LifeFuels that there's a pretty large play for us with intellectual property. So patents and trademarks and the like, a lot of things that are going to help defend and potentially help our business grow over the years. So we were in stealth mode for a while. And that was a very difficult thing to recruit individuals, some of which joined without knowing exactly what we did, but they were just so excited about how excited we as a founding team were that they came on board. And then when we shared with them what we did, they sort of became part of the cult that we have at work. It's a big part of our culture. And we also had family members and investors that had to sign NDAs. So that was a challenging part of starting the business. Would I do it the same way over again? I would if the technology were as important as we have. But I don't recommend doing that.
No. So how do you sell a vision to somebody without telling them what the vision is and get them excited about working for you without telling them what they're going to do? That sounds fascinating.
You'll have to ask. You'll have to ask a few of them because they'll have to tell you. And It's interesting when, again, it's a part of back to the superpower thing. When you have a vision, and the vision is something that is so grand that, in my case, I was willing to leave the venture fund. The job I had planned for my entire career to be a venture capitalist, I set aside, put on the back burner for the future. The fund 1 is closed. We'll wait for a fund 2. But for me to do that, friends of mine I had been recruiting literally for years. One I had been recruiting for 17 years, who finally joined. I've tried at other companies. He wasn't ready, but he was at this one. For those people to see me do that and then see the people I already had on the team, they at least were incredibly interested to learn more. Then we got them to sign an NDA. And then when they saw what we're doing, it was a no-brainer for many of them. But the younger ones that just signed up without knowing exactly what we were doing kind of got caught up in the moment, seeing what we were excited about. So yeah, it was pretty fascinating back then. And we continue to surprise and impress ourselves at times with what we've accomplished in very little time. So you'll have to check out the site and tell us what you think.
Yeah, you must be very persuasive. And did you have any doubts that delayed you starting your business?
The trick to, I think, being successful in any business or perhaps anything in life is timing. And the doubts that I had for years, because I came up with the concept for LifeFuels in 2007. It was always about timing, and it was too early back then. It would have cost thousands of dollars per bottle. Now it's under $100. It'll be less over time. But I've been getting better and better with timing with companies I've had, and I think this is the best time one I've ever had. But that was the doubt. The doubt was, will we be too early? We knew we weren't late, and so far it feels like the timing is pretty close to right. So that's very fortunate for us as a team.
Mm-hmm. And what mistakes did you make that slowed your journey?
Well, I think that's still to be determined. We're open to mistakes. In fact, we embrace failure as a team. We used to have Failure Fridays where we would get together and happy hour style, and over a pint we would talk about what we screwed up and who would win that week. Mm-hmm. And that was when we were 8 to 10 people. Now we're a couple dozen. We're in different teams, and I think we embrace it a little bit differently, but it's part of our culture. So we make those little mistakes. We haven't made any major ones yet. I hope we don't, but the little ones we actually embrace. So, it's part of the journey. Failure is absolute. I think it's a certainty. You're going to fail. Yep. You just have to be open to it. And it's a big part of my philosophy, embracing failure. I know people talk about that a lot these days, a lot more than they used to. It used to be a West Coast thing in the U.S., a Silicon Valley thing. But, it's something that my parents taught me. It's okay to fail. And I hope I pass that on to my children as well.
Mm-hmm. I think there's quite a lot of people who just don't seem to accept that concept, do they? They want success but can't accept that it might be possible you might fail. But ultimately, success only comes if you're prepared to fail, doesn't it? Because
that's right.
You'll never achieve it. So it's good to hear that. And what are some of the things that you did before you started your business that would be helpful tips to some of the listeners who haven't yet taken the first step of the entrepreneur way?
Sure. So I think research is critical. Learn the business that you want to be in and adjacent businesses. And while you're doing that, learn the people to network with. It's not about what you know, and it's not just about who you know. It's about what you can get done with who you know. So I think continuous learning, whether it's who the people are in the business or what the businesses are about, that's very important. In my case, and I would share this with any entrepreneur, and I have with many, planning as far in advance as possible is critical. You have to think what is going to happen next quarter, next year, and in 2 years so that you're planning for that. And the ABC acronym of always be closing is very important for salespeople and for anyone in business, but I have one that's ABR, which is always be recruiting. I am constantly building the team. I have in my mind 5 or 6 people I won't even need to hire. We won't need them on our team at LifeFuels until mid or late next year, but I'm already starting to recruit them because I know they'll have teams that they'll be able to bring with them. And I think that's an important thing for any leader or founder or CEO to think about.
Mm-hmm. And what I'd like to do now is just talk about the entrepreneurial journey a bit further on. So when you've actually started the business, I think. So do you think culture is important from the beginning in a business?
It's a funny answer. Culture is not important. It's essential. It's not just important. It's critical. It is everything. Mm-hmm. I believe that if you can have, I asked an entrepreneur recently who said she wasn't sure about which way she wanted to go with her business. And I said, will you be a solo practitioner working alone? Will you be an employer that has minions? And she kind of laughed at that and chuckled, but that was more her style in the past. And then third, I said, or will you be a cult leader? And it sounds odd because we have negative connotations with many cults, but the reality is an early startup that has people as passionate about the company as anything else in their lives, it's definitely a leg above others. So I think culture is critical to the success of any business. And at LifeFuels, it's something, we take very seriously.
That's a great answer. Knowing what you know now, is there anything that if you'd known it when you started out would have helped you to shortcut the learning curve?
Oh boy. Yes, indeed. I actually, instead of founding a number of cybersecurity companies and software companies, I would have rather, now that I look back, had consumer hardware companies, because product, physical, tangible, electronic product is complicated. And we're very fortunate at our company, at LifeFuels, that we have a number of advisors, consultants, and employees who've done it before. I certainly have been a fan of the industry for many, many years, and I buy more gadgets than most people I know, but it's different to be making them. So, looking back, I wish I had focused on hardware rather than software for many years.
Mm-hmm. And how does gut feeling influence your decisions in your business?
So we tease each other about this at work, and I started something. I think I said we're all animals in the jungle. If you think about the survival of animals, they survive on gut instinct. It drives their behavior, their every move, how they find food, shelter, mates, protection, everything. And we're supposed to be, humans, the most advanced animals of all. Yet many of us don't focus on trusting our instinct. We either weren't trained to do so, we never were forced to do it. But those of us that do leverage gut instinct, I think, thrive where others just survive. So I believe that the times I failed to trust my gut were the times I made major mistakes or I missed opportunities. The times I've trusted my gut, it's at least led me in the right direction, perhaps not exactly on the path, but we have to learn to trust our gut instincts. And data is critical to success of any organization. You have to be able to point to data. But when data matches your gut instinct, then you know you have the right path.
Mm. What advice would you give to fellow business owners that may be struggling in a business? Have you got any advice?
If they don't already have advisors, I would really urge them to find individuals who've done either what they're trying to do or something similar to what they've done before, because oftentimes an entrepreneur thinks that there are 3 doors, perhaps 5 doors, and you open each door and behind it is an answer or a problem leading to some kind of solution. The truth is there might be 15 or 20 doors, and you don't even know those doors exist, and you might not, because each door represents a year. Mm-hmm. So why not find someone who's been doing what you're doing or trying to for 15 or 20 years to help you get to door number 15 and skip all the others? Because the only thing that works when you don't know the answer and you don't even know the question is experience. Mm-hmm. So a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And if you're going to the office or you're sitting in front of your computer and you're drawing a blank, it's time to ask for help.
That's great advice again. Life is made of constant change, whether we like it or not. In fact, many people say the only constant in life is change. Jonathon, how do you try to keep up with change?
Well, change comes in the form of information in many ways for me. So I read constantly when I wake up, midday, and in the evenings. And I think, I embrace change. We all do. But at the same time, I think it's important to balance all the change, that we have stability in some areas of our lives. So the way that I deal with change is having some constants that I know exist, whether it's conscious or, mostly subconscious. So, for me, it's important to thrive on change and be a positive impact to others, to our customers, for our products, partners, to our business. They're all experiencing the same change. So communicating, embracing change, and also having some stability, I think, are probably the best ways I deal with it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned reading. What is your favorite book on entrepreneurialism, business, personal development, leadership, or motivation? And can you tell us why you have chosen it?
There are so many. The one that's on my desk right now is Daily Advice from the Heart by the Dalai Lama. I believe that karma is very, very real, and the things I read don't always relate directly to the meeting I'm about to have, or the partner or customer I'm about to talk to, or the investor I'm about to have a meeting with. But on an aggregate, they always do. I mean, I've read, you name it, The Innovator's Dilemma, How to Win and Influence How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, one of the first business books I ever read. Crossing the Chasm, everything by Malcolm Gladwell, Tipping Point Outliers. I really enjoyed Steve Jobs. My ex-wife, who's a dear friend, introduced me to the 48 Laws of Power, unfortunately late in our marriage. And then there's some recent books that I think are great. Non-Obvious is a book by Rohit Bhargava. It is effectively a book that if you were dropped on this planet and said, I want to learn about business and technology, he updates it every year, a new edition every year, with trends. He declares and identifies and tracks trends. So it's a very, very useful book. Ben Horowitz, his most recent one I read on vacation was The Hard Thing About Hard Things. A friend just launched The Elegant Entrepreneur. It's a great book for women desiring to enter business while they balance their lives, family lives, motherhood, being a wife, being a working mother. So many. A favorite, actually, I recommend to people all the time is Founders at Work. It's stories of startups, kind of the early days by Jessica Livingston. That is a fantastic book that gives very specific insights and examples of what founders did in circumstances that many other founders will find themselves in. Mm-hmm. So I could go on and on about books. Sorry.
Well, you have plenty of favorites there. That's great. Everyone, when you have a busy life, listening to audiobooks is a great way to expand your knowledge in the time when you may be doing other things, such as driving or when you're at the gym. We have a special offer for you of a free audiobook of your choosing. To choose your free audiobook, go to www.freeaudiobookoffer.com. As long as you've not already signed up, then you will qualify. Jonathon, what I'd like to do is speculate a little bit about the future. What one thing would you do with your business if you knew that you could not fail?
So if we could, I would like to put our Smart Nutrition bottle in the hands of as many people as possible, millions of people. And the reason I would like to do that is I believe that very quickly, within days, some within a week, they would see their lives improve. They would be feeling more energy. They would be healthier, getting sick less, happier because their lives and the cells within their bodies are more enhanced, and better balanced. And I think that people ultimately will live happier and longer lives because they're taking care of themselves. So the one thing I would do is take all of that risk. It would require a lot of capital, but just give our Smart Nutrition bottles away to people. I don't think all of our investors or partners would like to hear that, but if I could do it, I would.
And what skill, if you were excellent at it, would help you the most to double your business?
We pride ourselves a lot on hiring. It's one of the things I think we've done best, but I'm never satisfied with that. I'd like to be much better because at the end of the day, business and success in business is all about teams, isn't it? It's about how people work well together. We refer to something Ethan Gill, our COO, brought to us, which is repetitions. We have some very heavy reps at times at the office. Some are good, some are bad, but we learn from them. And I feel like the very best talent attracts the very best talent. So when you hire and inspire great people, they're going to do the same and bring others. So the one thing I think we're good at, I want to be better at. And I think that that would help increase our business and also just make it a fantastic place to work as well.
Mm-hmm. And in 5 years from now, if a well-known business publication was publishing an article on your business after talking to your customers and suppliers, what would you like it to say?
Well, I think that it would say something like LifeFuels has quickly, because that's a short amount of time, right? Mm-hmm. LifeFuels has quickly changed the way in which individuals locate, purchase, consume, and track food, beverages, and medicines. And the company's helping millions of people live healthier, happier, and longer lives. That would be great.
Mm-hmm. It's now time for you to share 3 golden nuggets with us. So, Jonathon, what is your favorite quote and how have you applied it?
Well, Yoda has one that's similar about fear, but I've always lived by this one. Defeat the fear of death, welcome the death of fear. And it was G. Gordon Liddy who was involved in some scandalous activity with a former President Nixon back in the 60s, I believe, or 70s. I was either young lad or not alive yet. Effectively, just get rid of fear. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to make mistakes or do things wrong. That's something that I try to live by. It's also something that gets me into trouble at times.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any favorite online resources that you could share with us?
Twitter provides for me daily brain food. I love a lot of the folks that I follow. Some of them I've become friends with and have never met them. I really respect and enjoy the blogs of a couple of investors, Fred Wilson, Chris Sacca, and then anything that, as Ben Horowitz writes, anything Y Combinator's Paul Graham writes, I'm all over.
And what is your best advice to other entrepreneurs?
So 5 things I sort of tell everyone, especially companies I've invested in or entrepreneurs I provide advice for, or people at our company. Number 1, don't go it alone. Success comes from an aggregate of individuals, so be part of a team. Second, ask a few great people a lot of questions and listen very, very carefully. Third, become a better version of yourself every day. The 4th one, learn your craft by existing totally within it. Allow yourself the freedom to dive deep and wide in your business and in your market. And then 5th, I may have mentioned this earlier, I'm having deja vu. Help others because karma is very, very real.
Mm-hmm. Everyone, if you didn't manage to get a note of Jonathon's favourite resource or his favourite books, then you can find the links on Jonathon's show notes page. Just go to theentrepreneurway.com and search for Jonathon or Jonathon Perrelli in the search box. Jonathon, is there anything else that you'd like to add about your business?
Well, I've spent 8 years now. I'm sorry, this is the 9th year preparing to bring this product to market. And I'm so excited about the fact that we have a product that will ultimately help people to have more energy, to live healthier, to live happier. And it's interesting how many people are embracing and moving forward with partnerships and endorsements and distributorship relationships with our company. So I would just urge you, it will be all over the U.S. this year. I hope we're in the U.K. soon enough. And when we are, Neil, I'll certainly send you one of our Smart Nutrition bottles so you can get a handle on it yourself.
That'd be great. Jonathon, thank you for coming on the show. You've certainly helped. I think you've helped so many people with some of your advice. You've given so much great advice in the time you've been on here. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Entrepreneur Way. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter @Neil D. Ball.